Hi, my name is JP Hanna, and I'd like to refute any and all arguments made by my opponent Daniel in favor of a military-style education system for primary schools. First, I'd like to start with the fact that this reform proposal doesn't even change the system. I mean, it's supposed to be about reform is change, correct? But we're not changing the system. We're still under a one-size-fits-all kind of system, how we work. We still have standardized testing. You said we were going to do it again. We still have standardized testing. There's still marginalization. Like when you say we're going to separate the unfit from the fit in physical education, we're basically isolating these children from the rest of the class. That's marginalizing, and that's not good for education. And also, um, you say there's an emphasis on group mentality. That's my point exactly. There is an emphasis on group mentality, and we devoid all emphasis on the individual because it promotes conformity and peer pressure, and it restricts individual enrichment, creativity, and free thought. And with that, I'd like to get into discipline because I think that's a very important aspect of this. First off, the discipline is not unique to the military. So to say that they'll be teaching discipline in the military and that's the only way you can learn discipline is false, because there's discipline in the classroom, there's discipline in normal society. We follow laws, we're disciplined, aren't we? Um, so I would say it's more of self-control, not discipline. And discipline in the case of the military, however, is more synonymous with obedience and a submissiveness to authority. And that's what my point is. My opponent uses, like, one question, he uses the soccer team and the coach analogy, where the coach gives orders and the soccer team follows. But, I mean, what if the coach is wrong? Are you supposed to just follow orders no matter what? And just like in with individuals in society, soccer it's a player's game. You operate on the creativity and the freedom of the player because the coach isn't instructing you step by step on what to do. You have freedom of thought, freedom of creativity to create a masterpiece and score a goal. And that's how you succeed in society today, especially in democratic societies. And so this heavy focus on discipline can lead to blind obedience, and that's my next major point. Where you're just following orders, there's no challenge to authority, there's no even question of authority. That's the biggest problem. This can go extremely bad, and I have an example with the military. Take World War I, the Battle of Somme, for example. There was 60,000 killed or wounded British infantry in one day under the command of General Douglas Haig. And that was because you have a bunch of soldiers just following blind orders just because the general told them to, so they had to do the orders. And they go running off right into German machine guns and just get plowed, just killed. And it's because they couldn't challenge authority in the military. So that brings me to the next point, where it's good to have self-control. That's good about discipline, but discipline as obedience is not good for a democratic society to operate on. You need to challenge, you need to question authority. It's a form of checks and balances in our society. We gotta check and balance each other. I mean, some examples of like challenging authority, like we got the heliocentric universe, the round Earth, it's not flat, the Enlightenment, the scientific revolution, the Magna Carta of 1215. These are all forms of challenging authority. These great thinkers, philosophers, scientists refused to submit to the authority of the Catholic Church, of their monarchs, and instead they operated their intellect on freedom and creativity to reach revolutionary innovations. So if we're under this military discipline control, like disciplined thought, always following orders, how are we ever going to challenge like what we know of truth and what's false? Are we just going to believe that it's a geocentric universe? Someone had to challenge it at some point in time, and in this military construct, nobody would be challenging it. So, in closing, my opponent offers reform that doesn't truly change the system. Just adds a few more rules and restrictions, basically. Takes away our freedoms in the classroom. There's still discipline. There's discipline in the current regime, and there's discipline in this one. There's just a little heavier discipline, which means a little less freedom. A military-based primary education system is not for a democratic society. Like we encourage to challenge authority. So a learning environment should operate on intellectual freedom, not obedience and submissiveness. We shouldn't just accept things for how they are. We should question it. We should make sure it's right. And if we won't be changing the system with this reform, we'll only be making it worse. So I move that we get rid of this reform proposal and strike it.